course, BYU didn't have Romney or Nakua still. Nakua was like game time decision, but apparently he didn't even practice, so his ankle was still bothering him. Romney did not travel. That's a plus for the Ducks, of course, but they've been out all year so far. So BYU has to, adjust to that, not having those two guys on the field. Well, they didn't. Oregon's wearing those, the dark green / almost black kind of unis. I love those. They're very aggressive. That was reminiscent of the Pac-12 game, championship game against Utah several years back. BYU had a great turnout too in Autzen. I think that was known that was going to happen. BYU travels pretty well, and Oregon's not that far for them to travel. I mean, it's a good distance, but good turnout for them. Autzen, of course, amazing. But let's look at the first. Let's look at the defense for Oregon, because this game really came down to defense, because that was the thing that I think worried most of us was, can we contain them? Because Hall likes to move around, the BYU quarterback. He likes to move around the pocket, get outside. He can run. He doesn't necessarily want to, but he can run. And then against like Baylor the week before, they were doing a lot of back shoulder, throws to their big receivers, Hill and Richardson. And that was the one thing I think that, as a Duck fan, kind of concerned us, because our secondary is questionable at times. But I mean, I'm looking at these. I apologize. I got back last night at midnight Central Time. I watched the whole game back through again, took notes, finished it up this morning. So my notes are all over the place. So I kind of apologize for that. But, Oregon defense, first play of the game for BYU, we gave up a deep back shoulder, kind of a curl route for a big gain. That was a little alarming at first, but then we got a sack, stopped them on fourth down on that swing route pass that they had. A lot of pre-snap shifting on the D-line. That was kind of reminiscent of old Oregon defenses, where we would do a lot of pre-snap adjustments, especially that shifts. Again, the secondary held up really well. Gonzalez, he got a nice block there in the, I believe it was the second or third possession for BYU. So DJ Johnson finally just being on defense, he's wreaking havoc back there. He got at least like 2 holding calls called because he was just rushing and they couldn't stop him. The Oregon offense, we're starting to see it finally evolve into what it is supposed to be. It's a mixture, of course, of heavy run, but those play actions. And today we saw it again, the rotating of the running backs like we've been seeing. And part of that is Cardwell was apparently injured. I don't know if that was from last game or just from like maybe during the week during practice. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'll have to look that up. But Irving and Whittington, those guys are coming on strong for the running backs. Let's just put it that way. They were coming on strong. But, I mean, when you open the game with, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Your first 6 possessions are scores and only 1 field goal. That's a recipe for success. And I'm not going to say that BYU wasn't maybe beat up a little bit from the Baylor game, coming off that high of that win. But when you go into Autzen Stadium, you have to be prepared. And they were not prepared, I don't think, for the onslaught. Because from the get-go, you could see that Oregon was like a step ahead of them for the most part, defensively and offensively. The O-line was, for the most part, was pushing that BYU D-line around, which is not an easy feat. BYU is a good team. Let's not sit here and be like, oh, okay, it's just BYU. BYU is a good team. I mean, let's look back at the offseason. Remember, before Dan Lanning, Oregon interviewed Satake for the head coaching job. Satake has taken the BYU program to a new consistent level all the time. I mean, I don't want to compare him to Mendenhall because Mendenhall was just phenomenal at BYU, but Satake has risen that program up to an even more consistent level now. And that's why Oregon even interviewed him for the job. And I was actually thrilled when I heard that Oregon was interviewing him because I thought he's got so much energy and it would be a great hire. But didn't go that route. Of course, we went with Lanning, which I was very thrilled about too. And I think this game maybe showed why we did that. Maybe, internally they just didn't feel he had the juice that they wanted. But the Oregon offense, again, efficiency. Efficiency is the key. In this game, we literally had one punt. And that was on the 7th offensive drive. One punt. There was no turnovers. There was the one really bad offensive series where they brought Ty Thompson in. I got why they brought him in because we were up so big, like rest Nix, put Thompson in. But almost a fumble, lost like 20 yards on that play or something, but didn't lose the fumble. And then Ty threw an interception. Did that really change anything in the game? Not really, but you don't want to see that still. But then they brought Nix right back in to like maintain the consistency with the offense. So that was fine. I was happy with that. But other than that, efficiency, Nix. I mean, both quarterbacks for this game, Hall and Nix, were very efficient. Nix just did more. That's all. That's how you can put it in. Our defense just did more than the BYU. I mean, Nix went 13 of 18, 222 yards, 2 TDs, and then 3 rushing touchdowns. Three rushing touchdowns. Most of those were read options, and they were short yardage for the most part. But I mean, that's all you had to do, and it was efficient. Well, there's not much more you can ask for. But again, Hall was not bad either for BYU. But there was no big outside of their one touchdown in the first half. There wasn't really a lot of explosive plays. They had that one really, really good scheme where he kind of did a fake handoff, kind of spun around and found the guy right over the middle for the touchdown. I think it was a tight end, But other than that, they had to work for everything they got. And I think that's the one key thing here is the defense was, the defense gave up 2.5 yards per carry. 2.5 yards per carry. That is a pretty low number. Last week, everyone was talking how BYU only allowed 2.9, I think it was, yards to Baylor per carry. Well, we took that and, dropped it almost half a yard. You can't complain with that. Those numbers are very good. That's what you want to see out of this defense, hopefully. Again, I apologize. I'm looking down here a lot. My notes are all over the place because of the late night last night, but the show must go on, as we say. So we're here and we're talking Oregon. I want to see your questions and comments because this is that type of win Lanning needed. We had the Georgia game. Didn't go how we wanted it to at all, but then we followed up with the Eastern Washington. Then we followed up now with this game. And this was one of those games where you went, wow, this is going to be an amazing game, amazing potential win, and season maybe a little season, not definer, but setting up for the season to come as we go into conference play. And it went, I think, probably better than most of us expected. As the modest Duck fans, or we're not like trying to blow everything out of proportion, but it is what it is, and we'll take it every weekend. And yes, it was definitely one of those great wins. It was needed. It's just the first notch in Dan Lanning's belt, hopefully. And we'll see how the season progresses because we're going to go into conference play. And the conference is turning out to be whew, maybe more of a monster than we were expecting it to be so far this season. But again, Bo Nix, extremely, extremely efficient. Again, 13 of 18, 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns. No touchdowns for the running backs. None. But Irving looking good, looking shifty, strong, and running through tackles. 14 carries, 97 yards. We had Whittington with 13 for 66. These two are standing out. Now, Cardwell, again, wasn't playing this week, but those two definitely took advantage of the opportunity and did everything they could with it. I like seeing Cam McCormick and, of course, Ferguson for the tight end group get in there and get some catches. Ferguson had both of the receiving touchdowns. Those were his only catches, 2 for 24 yards and 2 TDs. But again, the offense did exactly what it was supposed to do. Efficient,